Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willies, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. Good morning to every nook and cranny receiving our signal, our 100,000 watt transmitter, Northeast Texas, Southeast Texas, Northwest Louisiana, Southwest Louisiana. Welcome to the United States of America. Welcome to every corner of the world on the internet who listens as well. And yes, 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 we do get quite a few people from overseas, some Americans, some not. Anyway, folks, we're going to have a great, great, great show for you today. But before getting started, we want to make sure and acknowledge those great geniuses in our studio who ensures that things continue to happen over and over and over again to ensure that you can be presented with the word. Brothers,
Well, Jack, I haven't seen any geniuses around here. I've seen some riggers. You know, we rig things to work. And speaking of rigging things to work, we got Sandy Wyman joining us, Interim General Manager. Good morning, Sandy.
Good morning to you, Howard, Egberto, Jack,
buenos
and
dias.
to all of our listeners. Day 2 of our May Fund Drive. How about that?
Yeah. I was going to talk about the sustaining level membership that you can get. I was looking at this chart we have up here in the control room. 33 cents a day. Yeah, it's actually in focus too, believe it or not.
No way.
33 cents a day, $10 a month. What can you get for 33 cents a day, Sandy? Anything?
KPFT.
Boy, that is one of the better things you can buy for 33 cents a day. Anything
apart
else?
from that, I guess you can get like a 32-cent soda somewhere. And as soon as I find that place, I let everybody know, folks, hey, good morning. You're listening to KPFT Houston with Egberto Willies. How are you doing, Egberto?
Oh, I'm doing great. I am doing great, especially since we're here one more time. The only thing I hate is I hate fund drives. But you know what? I want everybody listening to know right now is in as much as we're going to be pitching for you to support this great station, what we want to make sure and let you know is we are going to have a great show as well. But let's pass it back to Brother Sandy, not interim, the manager of KPFT. Let's have it, Sandy.
Interim sounds about right to me.
Mm.
Hey, folks, I hope everybody's doing well. We're going to start Politics Done Right here and stop wishing you good morning in just a second. But first, I'll say good morning one more time. And I'll ask you kindly dial the number 713-526-5738. Hit option 1 to make a donation, option 2 to talk to Egberto. If you want none of that, you're phone phobic this morning, as I am. Then just go over to our website, kpft.org, and click donate. It's that easy. We're trying to raise the funds for the next couple of months to keep everything running at volunteer-powered, listener-supported KPFT. We're in our 54th year of operation. So I guess that means this is our 55th May Fund Drive. It's been going on that long. That's right. It's pretty amazing that we're here, and it's by your good graces and by all accounts, and from hundreds of people that I've spoken to, there are just lots of folks that want to keep it that way. So make that call this morning. We have a $300 goal on this program, kind of modest if you think about 1 hour of broadcast, but it's that inexpensive for us because we manage our expenses, our budget, I would say close to the bone, but I think we're into the bone at this point. So help us fulfill our budget because the money we ask for is the money we need to pay the electric bill and other essential bills to keep on broadcasting. 713-526-5738, option 1, but we're getting off into the weeds way too early. Egberto, what you got queued up today?
Well, we have a great show, but I always like to start the show with Brother Jack Van Beber. And the reason why is he has a tendency to get, for some reason, I don't know, I will write an entire show the night before, and then Jack comes and he adds a little twang to it to make it even better. So, Jack, what you got for me?
I like twang. I like
you
twang.
You like that, eh? All right. Talk to me.
Right. Big oil executives, well, they bite. They They are praised for how deviant and deceitful they can be as they wring the money like water out of your hip pockets and purses. Anywhere there is war, these vampire oil oligarchs are standing in the dark shadows, manipulating and distorting the truth. They are the main reason why the MIC, the military industrial complex, exists.
Nice, nice. And notice what Jack said, folks. Executives at oil companies. Let me first just address that because when we get critical, many times people think, they're in Houston and all around the country, there are hundreds of thousands of workers for the oil company. These are all good people. And let me give my mea culpa. I worked for Dresser Atlas. I worked for NL Industries. I worked for Daniel Industries. All these companies are oil related companies, oil service companies. They serve the oil industries. We've all made a lot of money uh, working for all. These are big employers, and you know what? And we use plastics and we use medicines and we use fertilizers, etc., etc., etc. All of those things are dependent on oil. There's a way, of course, to use oil responsibly. There's a transition that needs to be made in these modern times that needs to be made. So when Jack is putting out these issues on the oil companies, remember we're talking about the industrial complex. We're talking about those who malign our system, those who unnecessarily pollute because of not wanting certain types of regulations, those who instead of investing these large, humongous profits into green energy and making that transition, goes ahead and just says, hey, it's so damn cheap to get oil out of the ground. Why not just keep burning the damn thing till we can't do it anymore? And then we'll charge you to clean up the mess that we've made. So I want all my listeners, all of you to understand. In fact, I can guarantee you that a large percentage has something to do with the oil industry. This is never and would never be an attack, a critique on you. It is on those who are pulling the strings, of which many a times you as well are. I don't like to use the victim, but you are the unwillful victim. Now, what are we going to talk? And extending on to what Brother Jack had to say. There's an article that really hit me last night. Big oil's on American scheme to price gouge consumers. We're always talking about being patriotic, not in everything that we do, right? But here we have and I think one of our listeners sort of brought this up either yesterday or the day before. I had an article that touched on it, but this one I thought was a bit more concise. And it says the following. You know how the oil industry is always saying the US needs to drill more to lower gas prices and protect energy independence? Well, it turns out they've actually been scheming behind the scenes with the organizations of petroleum exporting countries to exact the opposite. A bombshell complaint filed by the Federal Trade Commission last week reveals that Scott Sheffield, the former CEO of Pioneer Natural Resources, one of the largest oil producers in the Permian basins, colluded with OPEC officials in an attempt to artificially limit supply and jack up prices. The FTC complaints alleges that Sheffield exchanged private WhatsApp messages with leaders of OPEC, assuring them that Pioneer and other Permian companies would pump the brakes on output in order to keep prices high. He even threatened to punish any companies that dared to complain. Now, here is the important rant that needs to be made about this. Right after the pandemic, people were people had to stay home. We were trying to mitigate the pandemic. And then what happened? Oil contracts were still out. Oil was still being pumped. Welcome aboard, Steve M. TGIF. Yes, you're right. Oil prices were still, or rather, oil was still being pumped. Nobody was buying oil because gas stations didn't need gasoline, refineries didn't need oil to process because gasoline did the gas stations, very few people were flying, etc. So for the one of the first time, I think it was the first time in history, a barrel of oil costed less than zero. What does that mean? The oil companies were paying people to take the oil. They had nowhere to store the oil, but they had contracts on the oil. So they paid people to store the oil. That only lasted, I think, a couple of days until the market adjusted to what was going on. Well, when the markets opened back up, and I remember I was in Washington, D.C., then taking care of my daughter. And we'd always go to Costco once a week to get gasoline, and I would see these prices creeping up, creeping up, creeping up. And I would be sort of pissed off because the truth of the matter is, I knew empirically, I knew within my mind that why would there be these price increases? Well, you turn on the TV and you see that Russia at some point invaded Ukraine, and they claim that that would take some oil off of the market. Of course, what we knew is that the war was nowhere in the areas of major Russian production. But secondly, we then applied sanction to Russian oil. And after we applied the sanction to Russian oil, it really didn't mean much because at that point, China and India started to buy Russian oil. They looked into their own economic interests and started buying oil from China at a reduced price. So China and India were off of required less oil from the market as they got the clandestine. Well, we call it clandestine as they got the cheaper oil from Russia. So the reality is the Russian war should not have increased, the Ukraine war should not have increased the price of oil. It should have actually decreased the price of oil, because as Russia was selling oil at a discount to China and and uh, and India, there was less oil being purchased on the market, which meant that price of the oil under the supply demand tenets of capitalism, you know what I think about capitalism, that price should have fallen. But instead, it went up. And you know how you know it was a fraud? Soon after, Saudi Arabia said, and not said, but did, take 2 million barrels of oil off of the market. Henceforth, our American patriotic executives, along with Saudi Arabia, OPEC, and all the other countries of membership, decided they will reduce supply so that the price would be high. So here we are. The world is in a pandemic. The world is suffering. Again, think about this. When I talk about these, no morality in these systems, no morality in this economic system. We are getting over a pandemic. People are dying. People need transportation again, but what do? They go ahead and create a false scarcity. In a true free market, remember I tell you, capitalism has nothing to do with free market. Capitalism has nothing to do with free enterprise. Capitalism, if that's how it's sold to you, that's how they tell you. But think about this now. What did they do? They increased the price by creating a false scarcity, make you believe that there was a shortage in supply. Folks, we've never had a shortage in supply in oil. And you can mark my word and look it up yourself. We have never, the crisis in 79 was caused by what? An embargo, not a shortage of oil. All the different crises that we had in oil, with oil, never had to do with a supply problem. It always had to do with a manipulating problem to make money. Why am I telling you this now, folks? Because it is your job to make sure to vote appropriately so that we can regulate industries in such a manner that they do not legally create legal theft from us all. That's our first rant before we get back into some pitching and asking you to please support the program to make sure that we can continue to enlighten all of us enlighten each other on what's happening in our society. So, what I want to ask of you folks is this: please, please don't wait until the end of the program. Please don't wait and say somebody else is going to do it. It has to be you to help us continue to do the work that not only helps Americans, but actually help quite a few. So please call 713-526-5738 and contribute to keeping this station alive. We've been alive for 54 years and counting, doing an important piece of work. So, what I ask you to do is there are a lot of great benefits, but before I throw it back to Sandy, I'd like to ask you to please consider the following. Please, you go to the coffee shop often, some of you do. You have cable TV. You have a lot of things, right? You have cable TV that people pay $100 for, $200 for a month. We're asking you consider supporting KPFT through Politics Done Right with $5 a month, $10 a month, a fraction of what you pay there. And the difference is this: on this particular program, on this particular program, you know you have a voice. You can call in and be a part of the program. You can call in and say your beef, whether you agree with me or not. You get to air it so that thousands, hundreds of thousands of people ultimately hear you. They hear you live. And plus, when we're done blogging and putting you all over on the internet, your voice is heard. You pay for cable, $200 a month for cable. Think about this. You pay for that cable. You have no voice. You just take what's given to you. At KPFT, you have a voice. Many times we complain about not having a voice, but we continue to provide to the plutocracy, to the corporations, to the cable company that's part of Disney or all these big major corporations where you don't have a voice. Here is this Houston station that has coverage all over the state, all over the country, all over the world. You have a voice. So I'm asking you to call 713-526-5738 and hit that number 1 and say, yes, I want to support this program. We are really asking people right now to become sustainers. Sustainers, that doesn't mean breaking the bank. Sustainers mean just like you can pay your cable company $100 or $200 a month for no voice to support us with 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 bucks a month, whichever one you can, but at least $5 a month, and say, I can make a difference and I will make a difference. Think about that. $5 a month, less than the price of a coffee a month to support the station. And we thank you, how? We have a lot of thank yous. And the person who knows all about the thank yous, or general manager, I go to him in a second. But folks, we cannot do this without you. We've been doing it for 54 years because of you. We will continue to do it for 54 more years, for 100 more years. We won't be around to see that, but we'll continue to do this. So I ask you kindly again, please call 713-526-5738, extension number 1 to contribute, and get that get that Politics Done Right KPFT t-shirt. It's a pretty black t-shirt with the blue coloring and the KPFT logo. You will love it. $120 contribution if you are able to do so. But 713-526-5738, extension number 1, and I pass it back to El Senor, manager of KPFT. El Senor, talk to me, my brother.
Hey, thank you, Egberto. Appreciate that. You know, we already have a thank you from the 5 o'clock hour during Arnie Arneson. Looks like William C. chimed in with a sustaining it pledge. That might be William, and our system truncated the M, but it was a sustaining pledge. Okay, it was a $5 a month pledge, which is what I am asking all of you to do. $5 a month. You talk about cable being 200. True, right? I know. The money was just drafted out of my checking account just the other day for this next month. And those people over at the X Factor that, yeah, they largely provide a slate of programming that I don't even know what it is because I haven't even looked at it because it's not worth looking at when I did scan through. But anyway, that $5 a month pledge got matched by $58. $50 from a very anonymous, very, very generous donor who's done this the last couple drives, plus an additional $8 per sustainer from our local station board members thereof. So, folks, your little pledge of $5 a month gets amplified. $5 a month doesn't go too far when you leave the house every day. You put a $5 bill in your pocket, you meander out the front door, maybe hop in the car, you start driving, you get to the corner and you go, uh-oh, that little light, that gasoline icon's on, better stop and put some fuel in. So you stop by that gas station with should I say, the controlled pricing, and you put some gas in the car, you start pumping. And 1.5 gallons later, your $5 bill is already in the tank. So you get back in the car, and now you have another 35 miles to drive around town on. That's how far you get, 35 miles on $5. Or you go down to the corner store, the corner drive-through, the one with the golden starches, and you pull up to the window and you order breakfast, and you find out very quickly that you got enough for a cup of coffee and not enough for the tater tots to go with it. My point being that that $5 bill that you're about to spend somewhere doesn't go too far. It goes really far here at KPFT, especially when enough of us get together. All of us that listen are part of the listening community. You're hearing me right now. You're part of the community. You're part of this family. Now, all we're asking is that we get the money it takes to continue this family and keep it together here in Houston on a Pacifica radio station. Make that call. Makes a huge difference. 713-526-5738. A couple of things to talk about. We have a brand new premium for this fund drive. It's the 32-ounce stainless steel tumbler. It's a Yeti-like cup that holds both hot and cold beverages. And there's even a straw, interior straw included. So you can sip that coffee or sip that drink. You can put it in that cup holder in your car and drive it around town. And for an additional $20, you can pick up a bag of beans, 1 pound bag of beans of Lola Savannah coffee. It's what we drink down at the station. So drink like a DJ in a mug that is cool or hot, depending on what you got in it. 713-526-5738. Please join as a sustainer. Sustaining pledges have made a huge difference already. In this drive alone, we eclipsed with that pledge that we got this morning from William, the $25,000 mark out of our $150,000 goal, largely because we started with sustaining pledges for the month. They add up. This will work if we all get together and do it. One more time, 713-526-5738, option 1, or kpft.org, and click that donate button and be the first this morning on Politics Done Right to chime in with your pledge. Again, we have a very modest goal. A couple of you coming in at the $12.50 per month level would satisfy that goal. Egberto?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Sandy. Look, folks, 713-526-5738, extension number 1. Please remember to let it be known this is under the Politics Done Right. Remember, all your donations go to KP. When you donate and call that number, it all goes to KPFT, not to the programs, to KPFT. But we want to indicate the program to ensure that we know what tickled your fancy to bring it in. And you can go to kpft.org. Again, that is kpft.org. Select donate. Go ahead and select the program, Politics Done Right, and tell us how much you want to provide. Again, folks, right now, Politics Done Right has no contributions for this hour. I ask you so kindly to call now, 713-526-5738, extension number 1, or go to kpft.org. I would love to call you out on air and to give you a big thank you for supporting the station. Let's go to John, and we'll move on with our program as well. Come on in, John. Good morning. How are you doing this morning?
Hey there. Good morning, Alberta. And listen, I need to
Is this
fire up and
Dr.
get.
John?
Yes, sir. It's Dr. John.
Talk to
Yeah,
me, my
I
friend.
need to fire up and get in the queue. Get in the queue for the contributions. That's what I got to
Excellent.
do right after I get off the line. Yes,
I
sir.
appreciate that, Dr. John.
Yeah, of course. And I need to get one of those tumblers.
All right. Well,
Um,
you call that number and tell them what you want, and we'll be able to give you that big thank you on air in the next few minutes as soon as you do that for me, okay?
okay. Listen, I thought I'd just touch base on. I don't know what the topic is this morning, but the student protesters look like they're like I predicted, sort of. There needs to be law and order. They're finally taking down the encampments and so forth, which it has to happen. But you wonder about these probably, I don't know, I want to think of them as well-intended people but misguided. That many of them wouldn't even know. They say river to the sea, but they wouldn't even know what river and what sea. They wouldn't be able to tell you what countries border Israel. They wouldn't tell you about Jordan and Syria and Lebanon. And I don't know. What do you think? I mean, are they?
I want to,
And then also,
yeah, no
and
problem.
also
I
the
did a
debate
video.
tutorial.
I did a video on the protest. Let me tell you, I have an affinity for the protesters because I was a protester at the University of Texas for United States of America, not the United States of America, for our university, University of Texas, divesting from South Africa. Now,
Yeah.
when you protest, you're trying to make people uncomfortable to look at a particular situation. You are absolutely right when you say that a lot of kids don't know what from the river to the sea means, right? And the thing about it, it means something different for Palestinians and for Israelis. If you take a look at the Likud parties, you know what the Likud party is, right? The Israeli Likud party. They also use that term for the river to the sea. So it turns out that both sides claim from the river to the sea, which means from the Jordan River to the Mediterranean Sea, right? But here's the thing. Here's the thing. Uh, while we want peaceful protest, I don't think that is what a whole lot of people are complaining about. A lot of people are complaining about protest altogether. And then they're turning it into an anti Semitic rant, as if these people, I'm not saying there isn't anti Semitism, there is. Just like I can't say there isn't racism, there is. But if I go through my life just talking about, everything, looking at everything through the racial lens, I'm in trouble. And the same thing, and there's a whole lot of Jewish students that are a part of this movement that you see on campus right now. And I don't mean a small number of Jewish students. I mean a large number of Jewish students. The protests have very little to do with Jewishness itself, as opposed to bellicoseness itself. So I have two sides, and I want you to when I tell you what I'd like you to do, John, because I like to make this really clear. If you can drop me a line, kpft at politicsdoneright.com, I want to send you the video that I made with Anan Hadadas and Mara Gay, because it puts a lot of the protest and the response to the protest in context. Look, we want peace. We don't want people destroying property and all of that. You believe in law and order. I believe in law and order, but we also have to look at as a society, we as a people, in my humble opinion, we cannot see 35,000 people dead with our bombs and not say something. Otherwise, we are all in danger when we fly on planes, when we go elsewhere. We have to have some measure of equity. Your thoughts, John?
Yeah. No. Well. And what and when yeah, I mean, we have to face the brutality of war, but there's going to be collateral damage in war no matter what. Now, I'm not going to suggest that all the civilians are acceptable collateral damage, but what do you think of this Netanyahu says he wants to rebuild Gaza like the Marshall Plan, and
Well,
how the
that's
Marshall
not,
Plan after World
y-
War
you know,
II.
I want to ask you a question because think about that. I bombed this place into pulver into I'm thinking in Spanish. I bombed this place into rubble. Okay, and then I want
Rubble,
to talk
like
about the
Dresden, like Dresden. Yeah,
yeah, and then I talk about a
Dresden
more.
was
Then I
too.
go ahead and have the nerve to talk about a Marshall Plan. That after I destroyed all this stuff, as opposed to surgically going after those who killed innocent Jewish brothers and sisters. No, I mean that makes no sense. A Marshall Plan for something that shouldn't have happened. I mean, Israel must be able to defend itself. And you know what we did for Israel? The Iron Dome that we financed and our Patriot missiles are a part of. We protected the skies of Israel against the people who tried to attack them. We did our defensive positions for Israel, and that's why Tel Aviv, that's why Jerusalem, that's why Haifa, that's why all those cities are standing and people can go to the coffee shops, etc. It's you talk about it being a war, but on the other end, if you go into Gaza or you go into the West Bank, things are pulverized. There has to be some level of intellectual honesty, in my humble opinion. And I think that I mean, even though you're right, half of those students don't know what they're talking about. They know what the moral position is. They don't know how we got here, but they know what the moral position is. And I'm gonna tell you one thing that he said, and Haradas. He said most of these protesters vote from the Vietnam War, from what we did at the University of Texas for the divestment from South Africa, and these guys, you're going to watch that it aged well compared to the detractors. And when you sit back and listen to what Brother has had to say, it was like, wow, I'm glad you put it that way. But John, so look, I'm going to send you the video. Drop me a line. I want to send you this video because I think it'll give a sort of a measured answer to what you're looking for. Anything else, my brother, before I
All right.
do a little bit of
No,
pitching?
that's good, man. Always a pleasure to chat with you. Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure, brother John. All right, folks. Anyway, thank you, John, for giving me the opportunity to talk about that. I need to before I go to Harry and Donald, I need to do a little bit more pitching. So I want to ask you. I don't have any support yet for the program. I ask you so kindly, let's keep this going. I would love to be able to call up Sandy and say, hey, Sandy, we are overperforming for the station, just like Jack and Howard and you have overperformed in making sure this studio stays alive. I need to do my part. And my part depends on given the program right now at this hour is the face of KPFT, we'd like to do our part. So I want to ask you kindly to give us a call at 713-526-5738, extension number 1. 713-526-5738, extension number 1. Remember to point out that this is for in the name of politics done right for KPFT. All funds go to KPFT. Likewise, please remember you can go to kpft.org, select the donate button, select Politics Done Right as a program you're supporting, and provide us the support over the internet at kpft.org. Before I get to Harry, I'm going to jump to El General Manager. Come on in, Sandy.
Thank you, Egberto. I want to thank Dr. John for chiming in and, promising to join us. Sustaining pledges. Let's talk about sustaining pledges for just a minute. Our costs are $52,000 a month to keep this signal on the air, and that's with one paid full-time employee. That's our engineer. The FCC requires one paid full-time employee with which to keep your license. So we're meeting that minimum standard. When we're asking for money during these fund drives, it really is no joke. We are down to the bone. It used to be that long time ago that KPFT's operating costs were comprised of about half personnel and half of the hard operating costs, such as tower rental or insurance or electric bill and other utility bills, ASCAP, BMI. These days, that ratio is more or less 100% or close to it of just straight operations. So the money we're asking for, according to our $52,000 a month budget, is the money we need to continue paying those very essential bills. So we are hoping, as we did in the last few fund drives, that you'll come on in and get that little thermometer at our website, kpft.org, to rise up and go over the top. And we're fully funded and secure, and we can get through the months of June and July before we do a mini drive, maybe do a mini drive in August. I say maybe because when we get enough sustainers to come on board, we can start eliminating either fund drive days off each fund drive or maybe a whole fund drive. And if the program becomes wildly successful, I can envision maybe just doing one of these per year. Wouldn't that be nice?
That would
But
be
we can only
great.
start with you. We can only start with you, one pledge at a time, 713-526-5738. Hit option 1, or go to kpft.org and click that donate button. And again, if you join us on a sustaining basis, many people do this, $5 or $10 a month. Your pledge will be matched regardless of the sustaining amount with $58. $8 coming from members of our local station board and 50 coming from one very generous donor in the Houston area that insists, that demands that KPFT be kept alive for future generations. We're in election year. We need a platform like KPFT to have this voice, to have these conversations. And oh, by the way, Egberto, you were talking about the Politics Done Right t-shirt. Imagine,
Yes.
folks, imagine you going on a trip out of town, a trip, a little R&R, a little getaway, maybe a golf tournament somewhere. So you kiss your wife goodbye, kiss your child goodbye, and you get on the plane and you travel out of town, and in your bag, you've got your Politics Done Right t-shirt and also your favorite pair of boxers. So there you are, out of town on a trip, and the first day of that tournament concludes, and you go back to the hotel and you meet a young lady, a very attractive young lady, and you're thinking, things are going right here. And pretty soon you find yourself up in the room with her, and you pop on that t-shirt and those boxers, and you stretch out on the bed, and the next thing you know, well, you know. My point is, it's a pretty attractive piece of apparel. What could go wrong when you wear it? 713-526-5738, option 1. Come on, let's all get together and look like sharp-dressed men and women. Put on that shirt, put on your boxes, stretch on out. We can do it together, Egberto. We really can.
Yes, we can. Thank you for that, Sandy. Thank you for that, folks. 713-526-5738.
Bad visual. Bad visual.
You know what? I didn't even touch the visual, man. But I like the idea that at least they're wearing a T-shirt, man. Hey, the Politics Done Right T-shirt.
We get really
713-526-5.
scary, but yeah, right?
Hey, Sandy, leave it alone, man. I think for some people they're like, yes. All right, 713-526-573. Hey, I'm going to callers now. I'm
Head
gonna
them up to
really ask.
boxers.
I like the boxers, man. Hey, look, the phones are starting to ring, so I'm going to ask a very ask you to keep it to about 30 seconds to 45 seconds because we do have to make some money here as well, my dear brothers. But I do want to make sure
For that
and do
first
what we
pledge.
promised, and that is to give you the voice. Come on in, Harry. A short 30 to 45 seconds, brother. Oh, Harry, there you go.
Good morning, Alberto. Good morning, Sandy. Love your pitching about KPFT. Good morning, Jack, and good morning, Howard. Got to keep this thing going and talk about these topics. Alberto, you gave the line of the day earlier when you were talking about the oil. Reduce the price so that the price would be high and take advantage of the consumers and ripping them off. Love that line. That's why we have to keep KPFT going. When El Senor Professor Alberto Willis comes up with lines like that to edify the general public. Love
Oh
that
my
line.
God.
Oh, yeah. I'll be
Love
mailing
you,
my
Harry.
like I did before. Yes, love
Larry,
you too. I'll be
Larry,
mailing my
Harry,
copies
allow me,
in.
Harry. Harry, thank you. Allow me to
But
kick you off for now. We're in fun drive, but I will
all
always
right,
make sure you
okay,
get your voice, brother. Take care,
all right. But
take.
I'll be
All right, brother.
failing my
Peace.
contribution next week.
Thank you, Donald, my other brother from the other side of the aisle. Come on in, my brother. Donald, come on in. Let's give Donald a hear. There you go.
Oil
You're
and
on now,
gas.
Donald. Yes, talk to me,
You're always
brother.
on full oil and gas, but they can at least control the output and the volume. That's obvious. But if you remember back, John Steinbeck, the Grapes of Wrath, Tom Joad, when they took the bundles and bushels and all the oranges and poured kerosene and burned them right in front of the poor people that were trying to make their exodus from the Dust Bowl that were starving. We are
Hmm.
back in a repeat loop, and history's about to repeat itself yet again.
Hey, Donald, you know why I love my callers, man? You guys have not only historical facts for the older callers, but the younger callers have the reality. People need to remember those things. Thank you for bringing that up, Donald.
Yes, sir. Take it easy. Bye.
Peace. All right, let's go to Johnny real quick, my dear brother. Mayor of Politics Done Right. Talk to me.
You know, I'm brief. I'm not too worried about some young people who may not have all the facts at their fingertips. That's why they're in school. That's why we call them students. And I've heard lots of students interviewed who do know everything that needs to be known. So they will transmit what they know to their fellow classmates over time. That's what they do. I'm not worried about that. What I worry about, what I get concerned about, what I get angry about are the same young people who have left school, who carry tiki torches and say Jews will not replace us, and then after hearing Donald Trump on the debate stage with Hillary Clinton lie his ass off, they will then go out and vote for the man. Their ignorance
You know,
is what's
guess what,
because
Johnny, very good point. That's why
what?
we try to reach everybody. We talk to our Gen Zs and guys to let them see the light, and not in a respectful way, but we do it. Thank you, Johnny, for your words of wisdom as usual. And I want to go ahead and thank brother Dr. John. Doctor, let me see if he restrict that I can use his full name. Dr. John Aben El Lago Gracias mi amigo favorito for the first contribution to Politics Done Right. He called, he said, I'm calling and I'm also contributing. And he did. I want to thank you so kindly, Doctor. He always has a whole lot of good, thoughtful presentations when you come here to speak to us on air. Thank you so kindly, Dr. John, for what you continue to do. Folks, please call 713 526 5738. 713 526 5738. Hit extension number one. We have a lot of support. We are asking for those who can $5 a month, coffee a month. Again, you don't feel that, and it makes a huge difference for our support. $10 a month, a coffee and a half. You don't feel that, and you know what, folks? But it makes a difference for us. So $5 a month, $10 a month, what you can. Or if you just want to make a one time contribution, we love those as well. But we're really trying to make sure we can continue doing what we do. We need your support. We only have one so far this morning. I am way behind. It is saying, Sandy is going to say, they don't like you. They don't like Politics Done Right. I hope that you do. I'm playing. But look, folks, 713 526 5738, extension number one. Please call now. I'm going to go to Patrick. And Patrick, we're kind of restricting time now just so we can get to pitch as well. How you doing, my brother Patrick?
Sure. Good morning. I'll keep it short. I always have to keep it short, I guess. I think we remember Hobby Lobby and some other businesses refused
Yes.
to allow their money to be spent on birth control, and because it was taking away the potential for life.
Hmm. I do.
Isn't it correct? So what's
Yes,
the difference between that and the students wanting to keep their tuition from killing actual children? And
Oh, no.
why?
I don't. Hey, brother, you won't get an argument from me, and I don't even think you would get an argument from brother Dr. John. I think that the issue is whether destruction of property and all of that kind of stuff. I don't think most people don't understand what the intent of protest. So a lot of what I mentioned in the talk that we had with Anan Hidadas and Maragay was to point out that the intent of protest is to be uncomfortable. Those people who do things like destroy property, etc., to even bring more presence to that protest, they are saying, I am willing to go to jail for doing that. And yes, it is a responsibility of officers as well to prevent the destruction of property. It's a one or the other. I mean, it's an ongoing thing. But I don't think anybody is going to complain really about these kids' rights to protest. Like I said, I was one of them back in the 80s. Anything else, Brother Patrick?
Yeah, I agree. I'm just trying to bring up the point that maybe if they had the same type of voice that Hobby Lobby had, and that people would listen to them the same way they did at Hobby Lobby, then they wouldn't have to protest.
And you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And that's where, if you hear when we talk about when I talk about people should not be scared, they should act. I ask all the time, all our listeners here, we don't need to be scared. We don't need to feel the sense of impotence. We can do what's necessary. You know what? You get a protest that is effective enough, we change not only minds, but we change politicians. So I am with you 100%. I'm with democracy 100%. But guess what, Patrick? I tell all the folks, they need to call us and support us because that's what we're promoting. And having voices like yours to remind people of these issues, having the ability to call into a station and say it is also important because that's the way we know that we are already empowered. Anything else, Patrick, before we go on to a quick pitch?
No, sir. I'll contribute again when y'all put up some more concert tickets. I'm already.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Thank you. I appreciate you, Patrick. Thank you so kindly. Anyway, folks, we got to do a quick pitch here before I jump to Brother Brian. 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. We only have one contribution so far from Dr. John for Politics Done Right so far. We have a lot of folks listening, folks. A lot of folks are listening. I'm asking you to just go ahead and take that 2 or 3 minutes it takes to give a call at 713-526-5738, 713-526-5738, extension number 1. And there's an easy offer that I'd like to give, and that is to please become a sustainer. If you can, look, first of all, we love all of our listeners, punto final, period. But those who are able to support, those who are able to say, I can put $5 a month to support a program like this, to support a station like this, I will. 713-526-5738, extension number 1. Why? Look, we have to do it ourselves. You know, a lot of people are waiting for Trump to be convicted and think that's going to make a difference. Some people want him to be blooded up in some sort of a figurative way and think that's going to do it. And you know, I've been saying this from the beginning. It doesn't matter if Trump is convicted or not. And when there were people wanting Trump off of the ballot, I didn't necessarily want Trump off of the ballot. Because what we have to do is we have to see bad policy and bad people voted out by we, the people. And we can only do that. We can only do that if we act. If we go vote, as Howard would always tell you, go vote, go vote. Or, and not or, but and support the institutions that are out there educating our people to why it is their vote is essential, why it is voting on policy is important. And you can be that part of that voice, both when you call in and speak here and when you go ahead and call 713-526-5738 and hit extension number 1 and become a contributor. I'm going to pass it to Sandy real quick before I go to Brian. Sandy, real quick so I can get to Brian.
Yeah, I think you said it, 713-526-5738, option 1, or kpft.org. Thanks to John and William who've gotten the morning off to a start here. We'd like to add to this. It's really important that KPFT collect this money. I can't emphasize enough that without the funds to pay the bills, it's impossible to have 90.1 in your ears. 713-526-5738. We do have all kinds of concert tickets. It's the start of the drive. So just as a sample, I'll give you one of the venues that's donated tickets to us to 713 Music Hall, Blues Traveler and Big Head Todd. We've got several pair available right now at the start of the drive. The Roots are going to be there on August 16th. Squeeze and Boy George, and I know one of these pairs is gone, if not two, leaving 3 or 4 left August 29th. And then Charlie Crockett at the 713. That's just one of the venues and some of the tickets that we have. 713-526-5738, option 1, or kpft.org. We'll do our best to get this ticket list either up on our Facebook page or social media sometime today. But yeah, they're there, and this is a good time if you want those tickets to snag them, because later in the drive, they're gone. They vanished. It's over. So act early if you want the tickets. It always works like that. Egberto.
Thank you very much, Sandy. 713-526-5738, extension number 1, please. And again, as Sandy has been talking about, sustaining membership will reduce our need to do this often. 713-526-5738, extension number 1. $5 a month, folks. I know you can. And I know based on the amount of folks we have listening right now, both on the internet and elsewhere, that you can make a difference. 713-526-5738, extension number 1. Let's bring brother Brian into the fold. How you doing this morning, Brian?
Good morning.
Good morning, my brother. Talk to me.
Okay, 2 things. It's called supply and demand economics. If you have a lot of a product, the price goes down.
True.
I've lived here long enough on the Gulf Coast in the oil industry to realize if you have a lot of oil, the price goes down. If you have no
True.
oil, price skyrockets. Okay?
Yes,
It's
I agree.
supply-side economics. It's basic. So why don't we drill? The price will go down if we drill for oil. The Saudi
Right.
Arabians, they have to bring their oil here to be refined. Okay? If we have a lot of oil, price goes down. The second thing is y'all need to donate. Pick up the tickets for Charlie Crockett. He's a damn good artist. He's a well-known, unknown singer. Somebody should donate. Get the tickets to go see him. So, y'all have a good weekend. That's all I got to
Hey,
say.
wait,
Thank you.
Brian, hold on. You can't just talk and not let me talk to you, brother. Come on. Oh, you left already. Anyway, Brian, look, everything Brian said is right except one thing. Brian said we should drill. Look, I'm a green energy guy, but I'm also an economics guy. Okay? And here is the thing. We are drilling. We produce more oil in America than we consume in America. So when the notion that we're not drilling is not true, right? That's what a lot of the right wing media would put out. The truth of the matter is we are drilling more. We have more oil. We are our net oil producer, folks. Let's just make sure we have the information. All right, look, it's at 53, so I can do another pitch. Folks, 713-526-5738. We're coming down to the end of the program, and we have not met our quota, so I'm not doing any more talking with respect to the topics that I had for today. I had 4 topics for today. Actually, it's 5, 3 in one section of the newsletter and 2 in the top. You can go to politicsandright.com/newsletter for that. I have the different topics that we were to talk about today if we get to them. But again, full show always prepared for you. Here's the deal, people. My dear brothers and sisters, we cannot do it without you. 713-526-5738, extension number 1. We're looking for sustainers, $5 a month. It would be great if we can get for this show, bring in 500 new sustainers. That would take us so many places. But I always think what we can do, not necessarily what we're doing, but what we have the potential to do. So please, folks, give us a call, 713-526-5738. $5 sustainer, that's $5 a month. $10 sustainer, $10 a month. $15 sustainer, we love it all. But if you want a t-shirt as well, get a t-shirt, 120 bucks for the Politics Done Right t-shirt, and a lot of other offers that Sandy can tell you about. Sandy.
Thank you, Egberto.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a ton of stuff. We have station T-shirts. We have hemp tote bags. I think that's a $75 pledge. We have coffee mugs. We have hoodies, all kinds of swag that you could pick up. But there's only one of these, and there's only one Egberto. And oh, by the way, all that oil that we're drilling for, Egberto, we don't own
Mm-hmm.
it as Americans. It might be here, but it's a global market, and it goes to those that are trying to increase profits, the oil companies namely, and they sell it on a global market. So we can drill all we want, and if, say, China is willing to pay more, guess what? It's going to go there because that's capitalism. You got someone else to thank here, Egberto. I think we
Sandy,
had picked up.
yeah, I was about to say, and
Yeah,
these are two new
yeah.
members. Love you, Marlene McNally. Thank you so kindly for supporting on a sustaining basis. We would love to have a lot more of Marlene's out there giving us that support at the sustainer level. Look, you guys are wonderful. Let me just,
$120 away from our goal now.
yes, look, you guys are
$20 to
wonderful. Go ahead, Sandy. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say that a few of you getting together, two people doing $5 a month will now make our goal. And with Marlene's donation, it was matched with $58. So come on, folks, let's do it the easy way. You don't have to spend a lot or give a lot to KPFT. We're not going to turn it down if you want to. However, if all of us just give a small amount monthly, we will be there. Right now, there's probably something like 7,000 people listening to this program, and we need you, all of you. If all of you gave $5 a month, wow, we would just about be there for the drive. Come on, we can do this together. 713-526-5738, option one, or kpft.org. Got 3 minutes.
Actually, folks, we can do it. We can do it. I know there are more of you that are. Look, we're like I said, we're done with the actual topics of the programming today. But you can also go to politicsandright.com/newsletter to get the rest. So I don't want to think you're being shortchanged with all this pitching that we're doing. But while we are on air, we have to do it. We have to get to the limits that Sandy is talking about. We have to meet these thresholds so that we can pay our bills. So I ask you kindly, 713-526-5738, extension number 1. And if I can give a little soliloquy here, folks, we pay our cable bills monthly with no input. I repeat this ad nauseum. Remember that, please. Every day, every month, you go ahead and you pay that bill every month. $100 a month, $200 a month, some people more. All we are asking for is $5 a month or $10 a month for a place that you own, a place that's yours, a place that you have input. I got a long email that I asked for permission to blog to you guys from one of our contributors yesterday. I won't give her name until I hear back to make sure that I can say some of the things that she said in that email. But I sat down and I said, we are making a difference. We are making a difference. So support us. She's a supporter and she had so much to say. And her words are going to be out there, not only on KPFT, but in our blogs and elsewhere. You make a difference. 713-526-5738, extension number 1. Or go to kpft.org. Please remember to select Politics Done Right as the program you're supporting, but you can
You
make a
bet.
difference.
Yeah, wait a minute. Hey, Egberto, we're going to go an
Yes.
extra couple minutes so we can get this goal. $120, one person could take care of that. But it's really important that this program this morning crack that $300 mark. So come on, folks. We know you're out there. We know you're listening. If you're driving, don't do anything unsafe. Wait till you get to a place where you can manipulate the phone and all the other things you need to do to make the transaction go through. But please do take that step. to fund this community radio station. 54 years ain't no accident, and we want at least 54 more passing this forward to the next generation. Freedom of speech on the airwaves. Your voices, your opinions matter. They matter here, they matter to the community, and they can be amplified such that thousands of people are hearing these topics, this discussion every day. But it cannot continue without you. So please, 713-526-5738, grab a KPFT new logo t-shirt, grab a ticket, whatever it is that floats your boat, and make sure that we stay funded. Egberto.
Absolutely. So, folks, think about it again. Think about it. I constantly say this. I mean, a lot of us sit down and we're driving our car and we are watching or listening to the news. We're listening to NPR, we're listening to CBS or whatever we're listening to, Sandy. And, you hear something, you say, my God, how could he say that? I could tell him that he's wrong, or I wish I could corroborate what he's saying, or I wish I could make it even plainer than the way he's saying it. You're listening to all these stations or you're listening to it on the internet, you have no way of being a part of that conversation. When you're a part of KPFT, when you're a part of the Politics Done Right family, you have a voice not only on air. You hear Harry call in, and the mayor of Politics Done Right, Johnny, call in, and Dr. John and Melissa and everybody call in with their point of view, and they get a voice. But that is not the only place they get a voice. They are here in the chat. We have Eric Hayes in the chat, and we have Steve M in the chat putting out their beliefs and what they want. We have people sending emails that get reblogged and put out there. This is a cooperative network on all platforms that you have a voice in not only your own, just your sphere of influence, but the KPFT sphere of influence, the PDR, Politics Done Right sphere of influence. You matter. And all we're asking for, as far as this, is be a part of the KPFT sustaining membership so that we can continue doing this. I'm almost near my goal. If you would go ahead and call in now at 713-526-5738, extension number 1, or go to kpft.org and go ahead and contribute. We're here ready for you. Howard, you want to tell me what I need to do now, or let me know?
Well, we're just waiting on Sandy to go ahead and wrap it up so we can get to Democracy Now! Sandy, you want to go ahead and do that?
I guess I should. That's the director down in the studio telling me that we need to wrap it up and get to Democracy Now! So we will proceed and go ahead and do that. Egberto, thank you very much for what you do. Thanks to all those that called in, and thanks to Marlene and John for contributing to this program this morning. A few more of you that are listening, maybe you can get to it in a few minutes or a little bit later today, but do get to it. One other mention here, we have bricks out in front that we're laying in the ground out front of KPFT. They're inscribed by listeners with their thought. We have a 4x8 brick and an 8x8 brick, 2 different sizes. Each give you, I believe it's 27 characters per line, 4 lines on the 4x8 and 8 lines on the 8x8, $25 a month or $50 a month sustaining basis. It's a wonderful way to write your commemoration of KPFT, maybe those that you honor or those that you have enjoyed, or maybe just a loved one or your own name on that brick, showing the world that you support community radio. 713-526-5738, option 1. Or kpft.org. Egberto, thank you. Let's go ahead and get to Democracy Now! And we'll see you on Monday.
Let's talk to you guys.
This
love you all.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, anyway, folks, love you all. Folks, don't forget, 713-526-5738. Go to kpft.org, select Politics Done Right. We are going to do it. My name is Egberto Willis. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out.
This is KPFT Houston.